That's what I want to say.
In regards to this topic, Lady Di, and here's my question to you: if the trauma was in respect to sex, will the results still be the same as in trauma hurts women, trauma builds
Yeah,
men?
it will. Sexual trauma will forever be there. It's like an alcoholic. Even though you don't drink, the thought of having a drink is always in your mind. So even though that person overcomes that sexual trauma, they will never be 100% normally comfortable with their body. Even though they perform and behave, there's always this X files in the background.
Disassociation. Yeah.
But I
That's
don't think
all.
that answered my question though.
I can't make it up. That is the answer. Like I know you may be looking for a specific answer, and that's why trauma is so complicated and difficult. That's why they call it complex, a complex explanation, because it's not for the normal to understand; it's for the professional to understand and help
Well,
the wounded.
I get what you're saying in context, but
Yeah,
I don't. When I say if it's about sexual trauma, I'm
that's
saying
the
does it
most
hurt women and
detrimental.
does it build men in
Oh
regards to the
man,
trauma? Yeah.
sexual trauma is the most devastating trauma a man or a woman can go through. And even though that person appears to be normal, they still suffer by way of thoughts, behavior, even if they suppress it. But I'm gonna pause and let the men answer it if a man want to take that on.
I just want to go on right behind what you just said, Shiba. The reason why it's so bad, because it goes back to what I said, when women experience trauma versus when men experience trauma. When you feel helpless in a traumatic experience versus you have the ability to fight back, but you just lost. If you feel helpless, usually sexual trauma, boy or girl, that is the difference between the level of trauma. Because when you feel helpless, then you go out into the world as an adult and you start feeling helpless again in different pockets of your life. And when you feel helpless, you either withdraw, get scared, run, or either you fight, yell, and attack a person that didn't even do anything. So because you don't know, it's actually called maladaptive, like because you didn't adapt to things possible, the positively. So it's a maladaptive way of dealing with life. You feel me? It's something called maladaptive social cognition, and it's something that a lot of men and women deal with when they've been, sexually assaulted or whatever. They just don't know. They can't even make friends right because there's always this thought in the back of their mind, like, what if this person does me wrong? Because it's this innate feeling of, I don't want to feel helpless again, if that makes any sense.
But the reason why I'm asking is because I'm trying to draw an intersection, because it seems like there could be a blanket that you put over this and say that, okay, if I go through a traumatic experience, I'm going to become stronger and I'm going to overcome, like sort of like the example Anton gave.
The context is a helplessness, or if you were not helpless. That's the context.
Well, I'm saying, like, if I became poor or broke, me going through that unleashed a monster inside me. It made me a more like go after the bag even more. Like I had this new motivation. So I just became even more proficient.
You can fight poverty. Yeah.
If that traumatic experience is a little different than the sexual traumatic experience. It's not going to be like,
because you can't fight back.
Because I got touched. I'm going to be bodying bitches now, since you know what I'm saying.
No, it's I don't want to minimize anybody's trauma that's listening, but it's a little bit more complicated, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
So it's safe to say that depending on the traumatic experience,
and by who,
some that's gonna make you stronger, some is just gonna be like, I don't ever want to experience that again, so I'm gonna try to.
There are none that will make you stronger.
Nobody else have to go through that, or I'm gonna resonate with people who
there's an impact. There's no some will make you stronger. So erase that from your head. A sexual violation is a sexual violation, and depending on the level of support, so that's when you start to get into adverse. They call it ACE, adverse childhood experiences. So can I tell you something about a village? And a lot of y'all are right when you talk about a village and family. Do you not know when you have strong people around you? Research shows you can overcome anything with a strong group of people that love you, whether you're married or single. So that's the first thing. Who's around you? After post-traumatic stress, that's why they call it post-traumatic. Number one, who's around you?
Don't forget about complex post-traumatic stress.
But no. So that's the first thing. Who's your tribe? If you have one. If you don't even have nobody you can call and talk about this shit to, but I say, hold on. Have you ever called somebody and every 5 minutes they put you on, let me order my food. Hold on. And give me a dinner. First of all, that's a broken level of foundation of support. So you don't even have a solid level of support. So I'm just saying this for the people in the audience. If you can't even get through that with your wife and your friends, you already, your level of what is it called? Getting over that, you already went down a couple of scores. Number one, because you don't have a village. Number two, there's not a positive or a negative. It depends on the person and people that are building you up and the skill sets that you learn along the way. And also it comes down to the men may be able to help me. Your wherewithal when you're determined to, when you're bench pressing and you be like, you can see one guy bench press one day and he come in with the wrong mentality the next day and you be like, what is you doing? What is it called, y'all? Your mental strength, your
focus, I would say. But
your mental determination, and you gotta show up like that every day.
I appreciate you pushing it there, but
it's not me pushing. I'm telling you that's the reality of it. So right. that's where it comes when you have to be willing to listen and learn from people that are trying to educate you. That's why they call it complex therapy. Intensive, because you cannot understand it from a layman's term because you want it to make sense to you. It don't even make sense to them. That's why they struggle with it.
I'm telling you, I understand, but I'm trying to pinpoint something. But what you're doing is you dragging it out past.
Drug out. Ask people how long it takes them to heal.
Well, so I'm saying I get what you're saying, but.
Ask your question. Re-ask your question.
Okay. Here's a different way to put it where you could just give it a simple answer. Sex with no intention to get married is considered sexual trauma.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. It's about the narrative. The narrative.
You're making up stuff. Yeah.
That's a question.
Hold on, Bruiser. The narrative is the traumatic thing. So say you start having sex with a woman starts having sex with a guy, right? And she thinks it's going to turn into marriage. And then it ends and you find out he was manipulating you and doing all this other stuff, right? Now you're going to go back to another traumatic situation that is in your amygdala from your past. You're like, you know what? All these men ain't shit. And now
you contradicting yourself because you said it's also in your body. And then Tuesday you gave a speech about it making you tick a certain way.
Bruiser, I'm trying to answer.
Did he not do that, Ali?
Bruiser, stop.
Did you say she had a certain tick?
Bruiser, you being combative. You asking for no. You asking.
We're trying to answer your goddamn question.